Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of Talking Ball with Lifetime Longhorns, plural. I'm Rod Babers, my man CJ Vogel as well. What's going on, CJ? How you doing, brother?
Good. 1 week away from spring football, Rod. I'm excited.
I know, man. I gotta tell you, the offseason has flown by. I think I don't know, it's got something to do with your team being good, having a lot of guys at the NFL Combine, lots of draft talk. Well, no, we just had a lot of things to distract us from the fact that we haven't had Longhorn football, but it's coming back in a week. I got a chance actually to hang out with Cam Williams a little bit over the weekend, and he said he's really excited, man. They think the team's going to be really good. I think that offensive line is going to be really good. And that dude is huge, man. He's humongous. That's a big human. I heard you talking about the offensive line a little bit earlier. We'll get to some of the, at least some of the really interesting nuggets and some of the interesting measurements that came from the roster. That's how excited Longhorn fans are, looking at the roster and going, okay, you know what? I'm doing a lot of mental gymnastics to try to figure out what a guy's measurements mean and what a guy's weight gain and weight loss means. So we'll do the same thing. We'll have a little fun with that. Also, I got a question for CJ about the spring that we'll get into, and a Longhorn getting some love in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We got to talk about that before we get out of here. But as we always do, we are very, very thankful to thank John Donovan, the president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group, because he is the sponsor of Talkin Ball. So thank you very much to John. And thank you to the Longhorn Wealth Management Group as well. John is a proud Texas Exes Life member, and his wife and all 6 of John's siblings are also proud UT grads, lifetime Longhorns like CJ and myself. John has also served over 15 years as a Texas Exes board member and is a certified financial planner who has spent over 30 years, 3 decades, providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to all of his clients. So it is John's long history with UT and his love of UT that explains why he's dedicated his firm to providing total wealth management for Texas alumni, employees, family, and friends. With a name like Donovan, John must wish all of his fellow Longhorns and the entire On Texas football family a blessed St. Patty's Day that's coming up this weekend. As a matter of fact, that's been my wife's first initial anniversary. Just got to throw that out there. It's ingrained in my brain. Yeah. Before we got married, that was the one we made it exclusive. All right. That was it. So I always do it on the day that I'm going to remember. So I remember that too. Thank you. Exactly. That's coming up this weekend. So here's to hoping all UT men's basketball team can get a wee bit of that Irish luck in their Big 12 tournament run. Of course, hook 'em horns to the Texas men's basketball team and also to the ladies as well. However, rather than relying upon luck, John wants you to turn to the Longhorn Wealth team to ensure and secure your own pot of gold with the real knowledge and expertise they offer. So please call John Donovan and his team at Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900 or visit longhornwealth.net for your free 90-minute consultation to explore how they can help you achieve your true financial independence. All right, let's get right to it, CJ. Let's talk about some of the standouts from the roster reveal, if you will. First of all, let's talk about Colin Simmons. That one seemed easy. Man, this young man ain't even officially put on the pads for Texas. And yet the reports are he is at 6'3", 234. He did report that he gained at least 20 pounds, 20 pounds. What do you know about his transformation, CJ? Because you've obviously been following him since his high school days. And you've probably seen him since he's had this transformation as well. I've seen a little bit of him, but I didn't see him in high school like you did. Is this just a guy that's on an accelerated developmental track, it would seem?
It certainly feels like that whenever you hear that someone's gained 20 pounds since arriving to campus. I'd say it's closer to about 15 actually than that 20 pounds. I had heard he had originally gotten up to 240. Again, very quickly when you consider around that time in Orlando, whenever I saw him last, it was probably around 220, kind of right in that range. But 235 is a great starting point for pre-spring weight measurements. You know, I think after spring, you can kind of expect to see him right in that range of 235 to 240. And going into the summer, I think is when you're going to see him add another 5, hopefully 10 pounds to really get up to 245. Going into the SEC, I think is an ideal weight for Colin Simmons. But you watch him, and in person, you think, okay, 6'3" at the edge, maybe not the biggest body, but then you get a little closer to him, and you think, okay, yeah, the upper body can certainly play at this level, and the athleticism is going to be what stands out and separates him from the rest of the pack. So he plays bigger, plays quicker, and I think if you can get to that 245 range for Colin Simmons, as a true freshman at Texas, you're going to see him on the field a lot.
Yeah, as long as he can keep that BGO, man, he's got some nice ball get off. His first couple of steps are just elite. And that's where he's going. That's where he can play right away. That translates right away to being a pass rusher off the edge, at least in pass rushing downs. There's no question about that. Quinn Ewers, obviously, we can't ignore. I mean, that's one of the big stories, of course, is Quinn Ewers' weight fluctuation, I guess you could say. Now he's actually back up, listed at 205 from 195, so about 10 pounds. He needs the armor. This is a guy that I think one of the biggest questions NFL scouts have with Quinn Ewers is simply durability. Can he make it through a 17-game season, which will soon, folks, be an 18-game season probably next time they can redo the CBA, and I'm sure Quinn will be in the league by then. It's going to get to 18 games, and more, you need quarterbacks that are going to be durable. Quinn gaining the extra pounds, gaining the extra armor, in your opinion, what is that going to do for Quinn advantage-wise for him?
Well, it's going to help the eye test with Quinn because he's going to be bigger. He's not going to look as frail or kind of fragile that he had last year. Playing at 195 is not a very big, body at the quarterback position, especially when you're 6'2.5", and so you're going to add some more muscle there, hopefully in the lower body as well. And NFL scouts, as you mentioned, getting their first look of Quinn Ewers whenever he throws next week at the Texas Pro Day. So getting that extra armor on him as well is not only important for his NFL hopes, but also to stay on the field for the Texas Longhorns, which he's been unable to do for a full season since he's arrived in college. I think it's a good stuff. And I know there's a conversation about Quinn. Is he losing too much weight? Well, now that he's gained some weight, is it good weight? It is. He's put on good weight this offseason again. That mindset coming into the winter was, Quinn, this is going to be your last run, or at least, we hope it is. Last year, maybe we thought it was going to be already, but you could tell he needed that extra development for his body and his play on the field. This year, it is the expectation that he is going to the NFL after this year, and we've seen it with the preseason kind of headline going around already of him being the favorite for the Heisman this early out, and already one of those guys that you expect to hear in the first round. For Quinn, it's all about getting the body ready because we know the play will continue to take that step forward as well.
I'm glad you brought up the lower body. I don't think people realize how thick these quarterbacks are in their lower half. They are. Go look at CJ Stroud and how thick he is, like the lower trunks. I mean, he's just built. Those guys are built really, really sturdy. And Quinn, you're right. Quinn, he's it spreads really thin with him, the weight that he does have. And I'd like to see him get a little junk in his trunk, I guess is the best way to say it. A little bit more junk in the trunk would be good for Quinn out there. All right. This is one that actually was a bit eye-popping for a lot of Longhorn fans. Sydir Mitchell at 372 pounds. I can't wait to watch him move around. That's one of the as soon as I can get eyes on Sydir Mitchell, whether it be at practice or in the spring game, I can't wait to see him move, to see how he moves at 6'6", 372 pounds. That is a huge human. And he's one that Texas needs desperately, especially if he can just step up in that the place where T'Vondre Sweat obviously left that void. I mean, one of the best defensive tackles in the country. If Sydir Mitchell can step in there at that kind of size and provide that mass right up front on that zero technique right over the nose, that'd be a huge benefit for Texas. Right now, he's got the size. Does he have the ability? We don't know yet.
Yeah, that's going to be the question mark. And I know a lot of Texas fans are going to look at Sydir Mitchell and say, well, I mean, he's only 6 pounds heavier than what we saw from T'Vondre Sweat whenever he played and dominated last year. But it's a different 6 pounds. For T'Vondre Sweat, this was a guy who gained 100 pounds since arriving on campus. Sydir came in at this weight. Yeah. So it's not like you knew that there was that big-time athleticism underneath, and he just grew with his body. This is kind of one of those situations where I look at 372 and I think, this is probably 10 pounds too much, 15 pounds, if I'm being completely honest. I'd like to see him get down to about, 355, 360 at the least, just so I know that there is some extra fluidity in movement in there for Sydir, because that's a lot of weight. And I know Texas wants that big, those big bodies on the interior, on both sides of the ball. But going to the SEC, it's more than weight. It's going to have to be that athleticism and athletic ability that you can rely on as well. For Sydir, I don't know what he can do in those big situations, those game situations at that weight right now. So this spring is going to be huge for him. But again, I'd like to see him in summer conditioning, maybe lose 5, 10, at best case, 15 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, hell, honestly, I'm one of the few people that wanted T'Vondre Sweat to come in lighter at the NFL Combine. I was like 366. I want you at 360, maybe even under 360, maybe at 357, somewhere around there. I'm with you. I think it's important to make sure the guys can carry that weight well. And the great part about T'Vondre Sweat, how he gained the weight, put it on a frame over time, as opposed to kind of coming in with that type of mass. A couple other guys I want to ask you about, and one I think has sparked the most conversation. We'll get to him in just a second. Anthony Hill, who is a lot of people were expecting him to take over as not only a leader on this team, but obviously one of the key players. He's up 9 pounds on the spring roster compared to his freshman weight, 234 to 243. And he carries it really well. I mean, I've seen the young man up close and personal, about 6'3". He carries that weight well, and I wouldn't be surprised, as long as he doesn't lose the ability to use him on the edge. I mean, I have no problem with him gaining weight just so that he can be a better force run defender. I'm sure between the C gap, D gap to D gap kind of thing. But as long as he can still come off the edge with that first step, I think that's going to be key, because moving him around as a movable chess piece, to me, is something you still don't want to lose the ability to do. Now, a lot of that will depend on who can help you stabilize the linebacker position, and we don't know who's going to play the other off ball. But Anthony Hill, at that weight, I still see him as a guy that you can move around as long as you keep the speed element with it.
That's exactly the point I was going to go to. At what point do you sacrifice extra weight for the speed? And I think for Anthony Hill, the goal is you don't, and being in the middle of the field, we saw how important speed can be at that linebacker position, specifically with a guy like Marvion Overshown, who might not have had the quickest instincts at the linebacker spot. Again, he was very new to that position, but because of his athletic ability and that speed and quickness, he was able to cover sideline to sideline and get to where he needed to be very quickly. And so I think Anthony Hill right now is right on that cusp of, all right, let's cap you right here. We don't need you any bigger than 245, because we know what you can do athletically is not something that is very common at this position. If we sacrifice any of that going into the SEC, where it is a little bit more downhill running attack than we see in the Big 12, but we still need you to be that bridge going back into the secondary in the pass game as well. So I'm really excited for Anthony Hill, because this is a good opportunity for him to come off the edge, come up the middle even at 245. We know that athleticism should still be there, and we're going to see glimpses of that this spring. It'll be exciting. This is a big jump forward for Anthony Hill.
I'm with you. I agree with that. And I think you're right about capping him. Honestly, 243, I'm a little squeamish on the 243. I think, right, I'm with you, as long as I want the speed element, because that makes up for a lot of mistakes that you can make as a young player. You can, you can misdiagnose a play, but you'll have the speed to make up for it. He still has that ability. Okay, last one before we move on to the question of the day, if you will, about Texas spring football. Savion Red, this is the one that sparked the most conversation. Savion Red listed at 5'10" and 240 pounds, which would constitute a 26-pound gain from last year. That is a lot of weight to gain. That's not something that's done by a running back or any other position. That's something that's intentional. That's not something that's done by someone just losing focus, or the young man got distracted. The young man really enjoys dining hall. No, this is intentional and deliberate, him gaining that much weight. The strength and conditioning staff is a part of this. They're trying to help execute the vision of the coaches. Coaches have a vision for the young man. What's the vision for Savion Red gaining 240 pounds, CJ? Let's try to prognosticate and psychoanalyze Steve Sarkisian here. Why is Savion Red gaining 240? Why is he up to 240 pounds?
I think it's easy. I think those 3 or 4 downs that Texas had against Oklahoma on the 1-yard line has really kept Steve Sarkisian up late at night, not being able to punch it in from the 1-yard line. If you're telling me you're going to gain that much weight, you're going to be on the goal line. You are going to be used like Savion Red will be at 5'10", 240 pounds. You're going to be that short line guy. And we saw that trust start to increase a little bit last year with the Red Cat formation. Texas doesn't get funky with those things. We had Roshan, the Rocat formation a few years ago, but we didn't see a whole lot of it. The former high school quarterback, was never asked to throw a pass at Texas. For Savion Red, he was. And so I think that is interesting that trust is starting to build up and up, but we're seeing it a little bit more. And we've talked about the general manager in college football now kind of being that overseeing eye when it comes to recruiting, roster, and then the team itself. Right now, I think Sarkisian's looking at it like, hold on, I need a big body in this room, and it's going to be Savion Red because he does have that athleticism that can carry that weight. We've seen it time and time again. Former wide receiver, played quarterback, obviously now a college running back. Getting to that size, you can only imagine that short distance is going to be where Texas is no longer looking at, well, they can't score in the red zone. No. They've got their guy, and it's going to be Savion Red.
I couldn't agree more. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's no doubt. I mean, trust me, somebody that's been in that locker room, you don't put on that much weight unless coach asked you to, and coach is a part of that plan. Otherwise,
exactly.
That may you may lose playing time putting on that kind of weight, or you may end up switching positions or something like that. So I agree with you 100%. I'll go even further. This is only theory. We're talking about theoretical here, right? This is kind of football theory stuff. I'm throwing it out there. Why would Savion Red gain that much weight? I do think you're right about that. I'll go as far as to say, since I love the pony package, I love me that pony package with the two tailback sets. We know he loves him some Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. He's talked about trying to take concepts from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. I wonder if it's possible that now within the pony package, he would evolve it to have his own version of a Kyle Juszczyk, a very versatile big back, right? Who can, he can be a big back, but I can move him around the formation like a Juszczyk. And by the way, he weighs more than Juszczyk. And I think Juszczyk's like 236 pounds. So I can put him out in the slot like I do Juszczyk. I can turn him into a blocker. I can put him in the backfield as a tailback. I can put him out wide if I want to. He's not unfamiliar with being out wide as a wide receiver. Maybe, like you said, he's been kept up nights by trying to figure out how Texas gets stopped on the goal line and short yardage. But also maybe now he's thinking about building his own Frankenstein monster of a fullback, Chris Ogbonnaya style. Y'all remember Chris Ogbonnaya? Chris Ogbonnaya style where, hey, we use him in a lot of different ways, and now I can take that pony package and truly add a power element to it with a modernized version of a fullback. Not the old school Ahmad Hall, but a modern version of it in Savion Red. There you go. That's taking it a little bit deeper. Yeah.
One of my favorite plays is a fullback wheel out of the backfield. It's never covered. And again, Savion Red having that history of being a wide receiver. He's got the athleticism. He's got the hands. And Rod also, that pony package, how about a 5'10", 240-pound bowling ball being the lead blocker?
Yes.
Right downhill. I like that as well. So, man, get me excited a little bit. Come on.
Exactly. Come on now. See, I'm with you. I agree with your theory, but I say let's take it even further. Come on. Push the envelope, Sark. All right, before we get out of here, I got a question for you. All right, so this spring, just simple. It could be a person. It could be a play. It could be a concept. It could be anything. What do you want to see more of this spring from Texas football? What do you want to see? Who or what do you want to see more of from Texas football this spring? And what do you want to see less of or fewer of this spring from Texas football?
Let's see. This will be interesting because one thing that goes well, you want to see more of, right? But on the flip side, it's, oh boy, now is it a concern for the opposite side of the ball? Right now, I think we know that there's one big strength of this team, and there's one kind of glaring weakness or a question mark right now, and that's the run game. Texas returns 4 out of 5. They had a guy that's 360 pounds with a start under his belt as well. Right now, on the opposite side of that, what is going to be that question mark on the defense? It's that interior triangle that we've talked about with one kind of question mark at linebacker and then the two interior guys having to replace a lot from Byron Murphy into Vondre Sweat from a year ago. I'm expecting Texas's run game to really take off. And I think that is going to be something that we hear a lot of in the spring. Now, will that mislead you to what will be a strength in the fall? Perhaps. But I think that this spring is going to be one of those times where you hear a lot of success from a guys like Jaden Blue, CJ Baxter. What kind of active ability do we see from Savion Red and the freshman? That'll be interesting. But I think that running game on the interior is going to be started very heavily by the guys like Jake Majors, DJ Campbell, whoever wins that left guard spot as well, whether it be Hayden Connor, Nato, or Cole Hudson. You're going to hear a lot of running success, and that's my anticipation right now. So I'm eager to see what that is. Rod, I've got one more, but I think you've got one on the top of your head here that might surprise it might surprise me, but I'm hopeful it's not the one that I've got going in my brain as well.
I'll go with the one I want to see more of. I want to see more press. I want to see press man coverage on the outside, the field side and the boundary side. We saw more of it than we saw all season long. The last 3 games of the season, Texas increased their press man coverage rate. I would say they almost probably doubled or tripled the amount of press man. They were playing on both sides of the field. They always play press on the boundary, but I'm talking about on the field side too. With these young corners now, I can't even call them young corners now. And Malik Muhammad, Terrence Brooks, these guys are veterans now. These guys should have they should be playing with a lot of confidence. They should be playing with a lot more, consistency in their technique and their fundamentals. You got a veteran group now in terms of your secondary with Makuba and Jade Barron. Those guys are going to be Derek Williams now. So that's what I want to see more of. Aggressive, them being very aggressive in their man coverage in the secondary. Remember last year they were playing some man coverage, but the leverage was off. They were playing a lot of off man. They weren't being aggressive. We saw them being more aggressive in the last 3 games of the season. Paid off in 2 of those 3 games. And you would even argue, CJ, and I think you're right when you went back and watched it, Texas wasn't terribly out of position when they were playing that press man against Washington. Washington was just way more skillful at being able to execute when they were down the stretch in those panic situations when the ball was in the air, and Texas did not execute in those situations. But they were way more aggressive, and I want to see that continue. I want to see them pick up right where they left off.
Yeah, my second one, I guess, topic I wanted to see more of in the spring also involves the secondary, but more so in the safety room. You're going to see more athleticism there. You're going to see guys like Andrew Makuba have that ability to spring towards the ball, and I think pairing him with a guy like Derek Williams back deep allows Texas to cover sideline to sideline while maintaining that presence up the hashes. It's going to be a lot of ball hawk ability, I think, with the 2 of them. What does Xavier Filsaime bring? We'll see. That's a lot of athleticism there. Jelani McDonald, the length, the speed. Again, a lot of pieces here, and we're forgetting a guy like Michael Taff, who might not jump off the page athletically, but is always in the right position and is one of those guys that just hustles, is rewarded time and time again. We saw it last year, the interception that he had against Kansas State, where he was 30 yards away from a ball that was thrown, 40, 50 yards down the field. And as a result, the ball gets batted up in the air, tips around for a little bit, and he's able to make a diving reception for the interception. I think there's a lot of ability there for Texas to get big-time turnovers in the passing game from that safety room now.
Oh, I like that. That is good. And honestly, I don't know if this is something that's kind of adding to what you brought up there about, because you brought up a lot of depth in the secondary. I'll just say I want to see not fewer rotations, because I like the fact that they're rotating guys. As Sark says, it keeps them fresh in the fourth quarter. Hard to argue with the way that they performed in the fourth quarter, winning games, goal line stands. Maybe I want to see more strategic rotation. The timing of the rotations be a little bit better. I thought at times they just seemed to be kind of chaos with the rotations, or maybe they have a kind of a steadfast already routine that they're going to rotate every series or every other series or every 3 series. I think the coach, based on the situation and circumstance, should be a little bit more judicious about when you're rotating guys and when you're playing certain guys together. So I think Texas got in trouble with that last year about playing certain, even on the D-line and the secondary, about playing certain players on the field together when maybe they did not complement each other very well. And I think they can get better at that. So I want to see maybe not fewer rotations, just more better timed rotations, maybe just in terms of the situation that they're in, something like that.
I like that. Definitely.
Yeah. All right, CJ Hope, before we get out of here, I appreciate your time as always. We got to show some love to my man, Xavier Worthy. He's already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Apparently he got the call from the Pro Football Hall of Fame that they would like to have had his cleats and his jersey to his record setting. They wore during his record setting 40-yard dash at the combine, and they wanted it to obviously showcase at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Of course, Xavier Worthy gave them permission to do so. He obliged. So yeah, my man is already memorialized in Canton, Ohio. How about that?
That's pretty sweet.
That is pretty freaking sweet, dude. I'm not gonna lie, like that. I've never been jealous of anybody, but I'm jealous of that. That's legit. I wasn't even jealous of him being that fast, but already being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that's what every young man dreams of. That's every kid who wants to play football. That's their dream. Xavier Worthy already there. Shout out to my man Xavier Worthy, man. That is a hell of an accomplishment. That is really, really cool. Something else that is really, really cool is John Donovan and his support. So we appreciate him as always. John Donovan, the president of Longhorn Wealth Management Group, is a proud Texas Exes Life member, and his wife and all 6 of John's siblings are also UT grads, proud UT grads, lifetime Longhorns like CJ and myself. John also served over 15 years as a Texas Exes board member and is a certified financial planner who has spent over 30 years providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to all of his clients. It is this long history with and the love of UT that explains why he has dedicated his firm to providing total wealth management for Texas alumni, employees, family, and friends. With a name like Donovan, John must wish all of his fellow Longhorns and the entire All Texas football family a blessed St. Patty's Day that's coming later on this weekend. And here's to hoping that the UT men's basketball team and women out there get a wee bit of the Irish luck in their Big 12 tournament run. However, rather than relying upon luck, John wants you to turn to the Longhorn Wealth Management team to help secure your own pot of gold with the real knowledge and expertise they offer. So please call John Donovan and his team at Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900 or visit longhornwealth.net for your free 90-minute consultation to explore how they can help you achieve your true financial independence. Thank you to John Donovan. Thank you, CJ, as well, brother. Thank you for the time, as always. And
Rod, I got one thing left for you.
Go ahead. Throw it out there.
This just came in as we were filming.
Oh, come on.
Brandon Jones signing with the Denver Broncos, 3 years, $20 million. Now, Rod, this is where it gets interesting.
Wow.
Texas DBU, Defensive Back University. DBU now stands for Texas Denver Broncos University. So look at that secondary with PJ Locke, Caden Stearns, and now Brandon Jones joining the fold. How about that?
Wow. Okay, I got to go check out who the DB coach is and who the like the defensive coordinator is and see if there's a connection. That is really cool. When was the last time we had 3 Texas DBs on the same team?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's been. I
don't know if I've ever heard of that before, right? Have this happened before? I don't know. Maybe I got to go back and check my records on that one. That's a really cool stat, CJ. I appreciate it. That's a great way to end it right there, brother. See, as a member of DBU, a card-carrying member of DBU, that made my day. I appreciate you.
There we go.
You're the man.
There we go.
Hey, thank you guys out there for listening. Thank you guys out there for watching. We appreciate all you guys out there and your support. And until next time, hook 'em.